It's that time again. The annual conference of the American Society of Ag Consultants, otherwise known as ASAC, is going to be held in Fort Myers, Florida, this November 4th and 5th. Kurt Covington is one of 9 professionals who will address the conference. The other speakers who will cover a wide range of topics represent Florida Farm Bureau, Florida Citrus Commission, University of Tennessee Institute of Agriculture, National Ag Law Center, Risk Mitigators and Advisors, Tyler Associates, as well as the lead economist for dairy at CoBank, and myself, Chrissy Wozniak from North American Ag. The day and a half of presentations will be followed by ag tours on Tuesday afternoon at Echo Farms, one of my favorite places here in Fort Myers. Attendees will experience farming at its most creative, with unique demonstrations, plants, and techniques being used to help farmers and urban gardeners in developing countries. A second tour at Echo will showcase simple technologies that can improve food, water, and shelter for millions of people. A third tour of a hydroponic grower is also being planned. For more information and to register, visit www.agconsultants.org. That's www.agconsultants.org. See you there. Equipment, technology, education. The Northeast's premier outdoor farm event is almost here. Since 1985, producers have been discovering the latest in farm equipment at the New York Farm Show, every February at the New York State Fairgrounds in Syracuse, New York. The New York Farm Show hosts more than 400 exhibitors with the latest technologies in tractors, planters, sprayers, and many other precision ag tools. Join us February 23rd to the 25th. Learn more at newyorkfarmshow.com. Indoors and outstanding, the New York Farm Show. Hi, and welcome to the North American Ag Spotlight. I'm Chrissy Wozniak. My guest today is the Case IH Precision Technology Marketing Manager for North America. And in her time with Case, she's been dedicated to precision space. She's an Iowa farm girl. Growing up on her family farm gave her a deep appreciation and understanding for the needs of producers. She's still an active member of the family farm. And today we have an exciting discussion ahead of us as Case IH has introduced the first fully autonomous spreader. So from St. Louis, Missouri, I'd like to welcome Kendal Quandahl. Welcome, Kendal, and thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks for having me, Chrissy. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, so let's first just go in a little bit about your background. And your farming background.
Yeah, so I grew up on a small family farm in Northeast Iowa. My family has been inherently all red my entire life. So my first introduction to precision agriculture was really helping my dad install a yield monitor. So it was really from that true beginning of here's the first steps, the first iteration of precision farming, all the way to today where I get to sit here and talk to you about autonomy. So growing up in the agricultural world like that, I always knew I wanted to be involved in ag. I went to college at the University of Wisconsin, River Falls, majoring in ag business, and spent a short time, a few years in the seed industry, trying to figure out what I actually wanted to do with my life when I grew up, and found that precision part of the business was really where there was so much opportunity and so much space for us to improve farming in general. So that really drove my dedication into precision and the evolution into me working for Case IH. And when I joined the company in 2016, I started out as a precision training specialist. So I worked with our dealers and our customers primarily about how to implement new precision technology onto their operation, as well as how to fix it from the technical side. How does it work? How should it work? And what do you do in those situations where it's not? From there, got to transition 2 years ago into this current role as the Precision Tech Marketing Manager for North America. So it goes from helping one-on-one with farmers and producers to helping the entire industry and helping drive the direction that we're moving.
Well, that's an excellent resume for what you do now, for sure. And so the Case IH Trident 5550 applies Raven Autonomy for driverless spreading. So can you tell me about this? Why did Case IH and Raven Industries set out to develop this autonomous spreader?
So first and foremost, with the direction of Case IH and all of our product development, not just precision specific, the intention is to deliver solutions that customers need. So when we took those first steps into a practical autonomy solution, the first thing we went to do was ask customers, what are your biggest pain points? Where are the areas in your operation that we could bring the most impact from an autonomous solution? So by doing that, one of the biggest feedback from that was things like spreading. Think about a situation with our ag retailers, for example. In a large portion of the country, we spread a lot of lime, and that's a very labor-intensive job. You've got sometimes multiple spreaders, you've got somebody loading machines, you've got multiple people hauling, and we just can't hire enough people across the industry to service those types of applications. So bringing something like a spreader solely based on customer feedback as the biggest hole we needed to fill was really important for us.
Yeah, that makes sense. And what would you say is the major benefit to farmers? There's a lot of benefits, but what's the major thing for the 5550 applicator?
So one of the biggest benefits is helping. It's really about being more efficient. We know that we don't have enough time and we don't have enough labor, and we can't afford to spend any extra money where we don't need to. So making sure that something like a spreader where we have, fertilizer really sets up our entire growing season. If we don't put fertilizer where it needs to go, when it needs to be there, we're going to see impacts from that all year long. So that was kind of that next driving point to bringing that forward, because first off, customers said this is a hole that we have, and second off, from an agronomic perspective, that's an opportunity that we have to really make an impact with our customers.
Right. So how does it work?
So the Trident 5550 with Raven Autonomy is a unique opportunity because we still have a cab. When you look at that, a guy can hop in and he can run the machine as he is first off traditionally used to in spreading. From there, it has a lot of the fancy technology, we'll call it, the sensors, the perception, all of that is installed and kind of native to the machine is how the intention for that install was supposed to be. So that way it can be controlled from a command center, we'll call it. You've got an external tablet to the machine that you go through, you set up your entire path planning. What is your job that you're trying to accomplish? And it's going to help you plan out that job. You'll be able to visualize what that map looks like and be able to, is there certain areas where it shouldn't go? Do we need to exclude a wet spot? All of that goes through that initial path planning that you'll set up and send that to the machine. And you can watch it execute on that tablet as well. So one thing that we've talked a lot about is, and we might get into it here in a little bit, so I don't want to talk too much, but building the confidence in solutions. Autonomy can be kind of a scary word. So doing something with the spreader, you can experience it in the cab. As we've helped develop this, we have to spend a lot of time sitting in the machine with the path plan and just observing how the sensors interact, how what happens when a bin runs out of fertilizer, what happens if we think the application is maybe not being applied, just like that operator sitting in the cab would say, I'm running out of fertilizer faster than I thought, what do I need to do? So it's that entire conversation building the process for the spreader.
Yeah, those are great points. And and kind of along that line, whenever I think about autonomous farm machinery or whenever I'm out on a field seeing one of these things just off running by itself, I can't help but think about my very own Roomba, right? And it's always getting into trouble in the house, pulling on cords, making lamps fall over, tangled up in the dog beds. And obviously there aren't the same safety concerns with a little household vacuum as there are with large farm equipment. But what measures have been taken, and how does the 5550 stay out of trouble?
So the biggest goal for all of us, of course, in any kind of autonomous solution is safety. Yeah. Safety is paramount to all other aspects when we're talking about something this size, especially the size of a Trident 5550. So that's where taking the time to make sure that all of those sensors are well tuned to understand what's something that we need to stop for. There's emergency stops, redundant stops placed in different parts of the program to make sure that if one sensor, for example, would fail, or we'd lose communication, or we lose cell signal, or whatever it may be, that there's something there to say, hey, we need to stop the machine.
Right.
And then secondary, we say that there's always that redundancy to say, maybe this doesn't seem like it's giving us the feedback we expect. So let's check with this feedback that we're getting. And if those two things don't match, we need to stop the machine immediately.
Yeah, that's really important. And CNH Industrial's acquisition of Raven was in late 2021, I believe. And obviously it was a very smart move. So what led to this purchase, and why Raven?
So Raven Industries brings their core competency has been in precision agriculture for quite some time, and bringing that precision focus to a company very iron focused is really that's a customer first mentality. And that was really the intention behind going and looking into a company like Raven to say, we've got this goal. We know we're going to need to bring things like autonomy to the market. And that's something that Raven is really focused on. They come with the engineers, they come with the know-how to implement and scale precision products. So that addition to Case IH, it was not a question by any means. It made just a lot of sense to bring products to the market faster for our customers.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And you mentioned this before, there is some hesitancy still for producers when thinking about embracing autonomy. So how can a farmer get started with adopting autonomy? What are the first steps?
So the really cool thing that I find in my role and in my previous role in training as well is every single customer's next step in precision ag in autonomy is different. There's an opportunity for every customer to make another step. And the first thing that I like to talk about in this conversation is our path to autonomy. So in that path to autonomy, there's 5 different stages. It starts with guidance, moves into machine control, operator assisted autonomy, and then we slide into that supervised autonomy, and stage 5 is full autonomy. So we have customers in that step 1 and 2, guidance and machine control, that they maybe they've been using section control for quite some time, which falls into stage 2. So they're familiar with that, but maybe they've never used boundaries. Maybe they're still using WAS as their correction signal. So really the first step for those customers is to get into a higher level accuracy, is to get into boundaries. And there's a lot of parts of the country that, I grew up in the upper Midwest. We're pretty religious about field boundaries and things like that, but not everywhere is that way because of their farming practices. But with autonomy, we're going to have a very, very deliberate area where we want that machine to run. So given the opportunity to go record things like RTK boundaries or move from WAS to a satellite delivered correction signal that gets them within a couple inches. So you are bridging that gap into the next level of precision ag. And then we have the customer sitting in that stage 3 of operator assisted autonomy, harvest command, for example, where we're setting goals for that machine to say, here's my harvesting goal. And maybe it's grain quality. I want the highest grain quality possible coming through that machine. So we're telling the machine what we want it to do, and then we're sitting there letting the machine make the adjustments as it goes.
Right.
So from there, maybe that customer's next step is getting a piece of tillage equipment with soil command. So now we're sitting in the machine and we're telling the implement behind us what we want to do on its own. So we have the ability to put in soil command prescriptions, things like that. So it's really just that step by step. Every single customer has another step that they can take.
Right. I like that, the idea of baby steps. So it's not like you're, just releasing a machine out into your yard and going, I hope it works. Right. It's just incremental pacing. I like that a lot. I think that should help.
And the thing that really helps with that is also, like you mentioned, it's kind of scary to turn. I mean, I worry about my own Roomba sometimes when you set it free in the house. What is it going to find that I forgot to pick up or move or something like that? So it's about building the confidence in the solution. You've seen it work. You've experienced it. So when you walk out the door and hit go on the Roomba, you know that it's going to find its way where it belongs. So that comes with just the inherent experience and getting more comfortable with the solutions. And if you want a machine to run by itself in your field someday, you need to be very comfortable with guidance and AccuTurn, the automated end of row turns function that we have to make sure that you feel comfortable stepping out of that cab.
Yeah, that's great advice. So what's next in autonomy for Case IH and Raven Technology? What can farmers expect even just in 2023?
Yeah, so in 2023, I think it's really about continuing that integration of Raven technology into Case IH equipment where it makes sense. So at our recent tech days that I know that you wrote a few things about, so you're probably familiar with our tech day event. We recently debuted 2 milestones. First one was, of course, the tillage solution with Raven Autonomy. So that's a soil command equipped piece of tillage equipment to perform that prescription. The second announcement that we had there was our driver assisted harvest solution. So something that will help the farmer sync their tractor to their combine while they're unloading their combine, enabling more efficient coordination. So with that, we've announced those. Those are things that we are working towards a commercial delivery to. Now, as we've talked, when we go to, I think this is kind of an industry-wide thing that we've noticed. It's really about building the confidence. So we may not see a widely available solution. We're going to start small. That train is going to start down the track slow. So that way we can build the understanding of here's how it works. Here's areas where farmers, taking this product to a real farmer and saying, does this accomplish what you need it to? Does the dealer have what they need from us to support you in that product? And then from there, it can start to be more of a broad solution.
Right. Yeah. And that's a really good point about the dealer. That local connection is so important. And I hear that from farmers all the time that, they don't want to be left alone in the field and not have anybody within 100 miles that knows how to run this. So I'm happy to hear that. Yeah.
And on top of that, we are also working on, in order to help enable those dealers, we're working through our remote support options as well. So the AFS Connect series tractors that we have are all capable of remote support, remote display viewing, being able to, if the customer chooses, of course, dealer access to those machines, it gives them the ability to start to see that remote support, because for the customer to be confident, for the dealer to be confident, we have to know we can communicate with that machine all the time. Right. So again, that's just one more step that maybe a customer wouldn't initially think. of remote support as being something that fits into the autonomy world. But for us as the equipment manufacturer, that's a really important piece of it, as well as that machine connectivity.
Right. Yeah. And so I know the winter farm show season is just beginning, or just started a couple weeks ago. Where can people see some of this in action? I'm assuming at the National Farm Machinery Show.
Yes, we will certainly be in attendance at the National Farm Machinery Show. We'll also be at quite a few shows coming this spring. World Ag Expo, of course, out in Tulare.
Yeah.
We will also be at a few others. The U.S. Custom Harvesters, our harvesting team, will be in attendance to that. We'll also be at pushing out just a little bit further, Commodity Classic. We'll also, of course, be there, and those are all really exciting shows and great opportunities to connect with our producers across the country.
Yeah, that's great. And if they want to learn more, if anybody wants to learn more about the Trident, where should they go?
So the number one place to go to learn more on that is going to be caseih.com. And then under our company innovations, we have a full site dedicated just to our path to autonomy and the direction that we are going. So you can get there and see some of the additional things that we've been working on, and kind of see where you as a producer might fit inside of that path to autonomy, what your next step could be.
Awesome. And I have one last question for you. Why do you personally serve the agriculture industry, and what's your greatest passion? What wakes you up every day?
So I love being asked questions like this because, we opened up talking about growing up on a farm, and I remember sitting in the combine, running the combine before my feet could touch the ground.
Wow.
When my dad is, sitting over in the buddy seat, and I remember telling him that I was going to work for Case IH someday, because at that time, it was, about helping my dad be a farmer. And growing up on a farm, I think that's one thing that we can all probably relate to really well, is helping, whether it was a parent, a grandparent, an uncle, a neighbor, whatever it is, growing up, being so ingrained in that, it kind of builds that natural evolution into serving the entire industry. It goes from being able to help just my dad to being able to help everybody's dad.
Right.
And that means so much to us as farmers and as a Case IH employee. You'll see our marketing campaign of Built by Farmers, and that's really the truth. This is a very common platform for all of us across Case IH. It's growing up on a farm, truly being the farm kid. And so many of us are still involved with agriculture on our own family farms. So it's a really unique experience to get to do that. And ultimately, the thing that gets me out of bed every day is, we take a lot of pride in being a American farmer, and we have a lot of different, a lot of farmers wake up every day and they say, what battle do I have to fight today, kind of thing, whether it's media, whether it's, the genetically engineered conversation with somebody, whether it's, the list goes on, right? And it's helping them be, delivering equipment. So that's one less thing they don't have to worry about.
Yeah, I love that. My daughter, just recently in her 4-H, I did one of her demos on careers in agriculture, and she'll love to hear this, because for you to sit in the tractor and say, I want to work for Case, and then actually doing it, that's really incredible. That's really awesome. And it's great for youth, especially, to know that there's so many jobs in agriculture. So that's really cool. And well, thank you so much for joining me today. It was great to learn about the Trident and Raven and how everything's coming together for a better food future.
Absolutely. I really appreciate the time, Chrissy.
Yeah. And thanks to all who are watching or listening. If you want to learn more, all the links are provided in the show notes. Don't forget to subscribe to North American Ag Spotlight on YouTube, Rumble, Telegram, or AgFuse. And the podcast is available on Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, Amazon, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And have a great day. Thanks so much for listening to today's Ag Spotlight episode, where we put the spotlight on people and companies doing great things for the agricultural industry. Don't forget to subscribe on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, Stitcher, or on your favorite podcasting platform, and give us a 5-star review. You can also follow us on YouTube and Rumble to see the video version of Ag Spotlight. Also, head on over to NorthAmericanAg.com to subscribe to our Industry Connect update newsletter. If you're interested in advertising opportunities, email us at connect@NorthAmericanAg.com. Thanks for listening. Our newest podcast by North American Ag is called What Color is Your Tractor? The stories behind the ag brands you love and the ag brands you love to hate. Hosted by me, Chrissy Wozniak. We take a deep dive into the companies that have built modern agriculture. Subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform. Go to whatcolorisyourtractor.com. Available on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you listen to podcasts.